Well, think about this analogy. How long would it take me to describe this room, right? Let's say you had no visual of the room that I'm in, right? And all the things that are in here. And if I were to try to build that picture within your mind, how many words would that take, right? So something that just takes form instantly. I open my mind, my eyes. This whole room appears automatically and effortlessly. That is a testament to human intelligence. The amount of computing power that it requires for your eyelids to move off of your eyeball and then a universe instantaneously forms as a neurological process. Yet, the human being walks around within the architecture of the universe that forms within their mind as an abandoned, broken child trying to fix themselves and avoid abandonment to prove themselves, over and over and over and over, and seek validation to satiate the need for intermittent security. And that becomes the basis of all human endeavors and relationships that's driving humanity off the cliff. And so while most people are running around analyzing, they have no creative capacity. That's why you see the proliferation of conspiracy theories, because people analyzing objectively have no objectivity. They choose what's real. They believe rather than observe reality. And so when you have to analyze reality, it's because you're unable to observe it. And in this state, powerful past-based emotions continue to improperly contaminate reality. And so creativity is unattainable. Creativity for most people only exists in their dreams. See, why is that you can dream and your mind is unlocked? Or why is it if somebody were to take some kind of hallucinogen? That is why the movement of the hippies resulted in this profound experiential shift that created a golden era of enlightenment where people started to listen to the Alan Watts, the Ram Dass, the Werner Erhards. There's modern transformation and ontological experiences have affected millions of lives, yet it hasn't even been brought into view within the realm of psychology yet. But what I hope to bring to this world is the understanding that the subconscious is where all the intellectual and creative capacities are nearly unanimous in all humans. That when you look at people and we think somebody's smarter because they did better on an IQ test or got better grades, the truth of the matter is that intelligence isn't even remotely expressed in most people. That most people are intellectual dependents. The most highly educated people in the field of psychology are barely parroting the ideas and thoughts of very few people. So the world of creativity is totally unaccessible in ego. Absolutely, within this world of hierarchy, creative people and objective people get destroyed because objectivity violates every single opinion. Objectivity violates every single future fantasy, from religious dogma and ignorance to even scientific dogma and ignorance, where all these nonsensical debates that people continue to propagate have no meaningful contribution to the advancement of understanding, and in fact are in the way because they do not have any Socratic integrity. And so when people deliberate and debate about the nature of reality and they're already stuck in an entitled position, they will learn nothing. That is how everybody falls short. If you just said everybody falls short of the glory of God and changed God with consciousness, then you would actually understand what they were talking about. Because anything worth sharing with people would be something that actually has power in reality. There would be no reason to be a disciple based on beliefs of some nonsensical afterlife, that these people were touched, moved, and inspired because they could have a conversation with the person, and that person's conversation with them would have them experience an awakening consistent with Zen meditation. And modern ontological practitioners are people capable of causing immediate enlightenment level transformations that produce breakthroughs into a new space of consciousness. And that new space of consciousness doesn't need to be relegated to mystical experience because it is a neurological experience that I've discovered. I can tell you exactly how it works. The ego is a subjective secondary state of consciousness that is a fraction of the total sum of cognitive powers of any person. And the level of fear and the level of subjective entitlement and the level of hierarchical thinking is directly proportional to the size of the subconscious. That the subconscious mind is the total sum of neurological activity that is happening in parallel with the ego, and the ego has to hijack the same areas of the brain in order to propagate itself, meaning that as you analyze, you listen to a voice, that voice has to be using the areas of your brain, like, say, for example, your auditory cortex. And so while the brain cells are attempting to process the external environment, the voices of other people while they're talking, and to understand, your brain is already forming a perfectly rendered reality. And it is causing emotional pathways to be activated in perfect unison with the visual experience. And so as the visual experience is generated, the auditory experience is generated, these things collide in the formation of reality, and normal emotions are involuntarily evoked to add accurate context to the external experience. But you see, those normal emotions are subordinated by any emotions that are stuck in a fear state. And so this fear state compels people to need to avoid abandonment, to try to be perfect, to try to be good enough to fix and change themselves. And these loops are repetitive, rhetorical, positive feedback loops. We're feeling broken, triggers more broken. We're experiencing something being wrong with you, triggers more something's wrong with you. We're not good enough can be a 10-month ordeal of self-improvement where the external validation of your body fat percentage, the new surgery, the new promotion, the new car, the new house is what seems to be the cure to what you're afflicted by. And as people navigate this reality, influenced improperly by the compass of an emotional network that is entrapped within the neurological loops of the sympathetic nervous system, continually reactivating child emotions, nobody in psychology has ever articulated the fact that human beings fearing abandonment in adulthood are the only species that have separation anxiety past physical maturation. And feeling small, helpless, broken, and not good enough is literally just the mechanism that makes a rabbit run from a fox. And what are you running from? You're running from the potential rejections and failures that you are conjuring, that your fight or flight system is programmed in the avoidance of yourself, that you're the threat, and you're reflecting the threat by looking at the facial expressions and the imagination of others, that everybody is bouncing around, competing with one another, afraid of one another, and nobody is aware that the fear that they have of society fears them. You fear the government fears you. We fear Russia, Russia fears us. And fear is driving humanity off the cliff. And those of us who have gained access to the total sum of our consciousness, it's an expansion that is so vast, yet we only have our mouth. And I had to invent a method just to provoke it in other people as the only way to ever be known or seen.